Hello and welcome to today's special pitch event and roundtable discussion focused on e-commerce, retail, and the consumer space. I'm Cal Andonoff, and I'm delighted to be your host today, along with James Mawson, founder and CEO of GCV. Welcome, Jim.
Welcome, Cal. Welcome, everybody. I'm super excited by this session and loving to hear a little bit more about the e-commerce, retail, and consumer products and services section.
Absolutely. And with us today, we have a big and great panel of great guest speakers. We have Gabriela Ruggeri, managing partner at Kamai Ventures. Kamai Ventures is the venturing unit backed by Coca-Cola Latino America and Grupo Arcor. At some point later on, her colleague Laura Prado, who's senior investment manager at Kamai, will be joining us. We also have Melina Burkham, Director of Venture and Corporate Relationships at Silicon Valley Bank, Lukasz Garbowski, Investment Director at B2Moral Ventures, which is a venturing unit backed by British American Tobacco, Hector Shibata Salazar, head of AC Ventures, a venturing arm of Arca Continental, and Safi Kashvargar, who is the ecosystem incubation lead at store number 8, which is the incubation program of Walmart. So I would like to give a very warm welcome to all of them. I will have them all introduce themselves later on during the panel discussion which we have. Speaking of which, let's have a look at the agenda for today. First, I'm going to go through a few housekeeping items, allowing more people who are attending live to join in the meantime, and then I will give the word to Melina from Silicon Valley Bank, who's going to give us a brief overview on some of the latest and most interesting data points on the consumer sector. This will be followed, of course, by the pitch session, and then we will have a roundtable and Q&A session, which will be moderated by me. I would like to remind everyone attending live that you may submit your questions through the chat function of Zoom. We will try to get back to at least some of them. Now, I would like, before we start, I'd like to give everyone the usual disclaimer that no part of this presentation is to be construed as investment advice under any form whatsoever. The purpose of the session is purely informative. A few words about us. We are a media company who has two major running online publications, Global Corporate Venturing, which is focused on corporate venture investors and their deals, and Global University Venturing, which is centered on rounds and deals raised by startups stemming from academia, as the name implies. There are there are other minor publications which we're trying to develop at the moment. Of course, we have other services that we offer, such as the GCV Institute, which features training programs for both up-and-coming CVCs as well as experienced CVCs. So make sure you check those out. GCV as an organization, however, is most well known for the events and conferences on corporate venture capital that we put together around the globe. So due to the emergence of the Omicron variant at the end of last year, beginning of this year, we had to delay this year's summit, which is now to take place on June 22nd and 23rd in Monterey, California, which is fairly soon. So do hurry up to pick up your tickets if you haven't already done so. Today, we have 6 startups pitching, and I'm really excited to hear those pitches later. If you happen to watch the recording of this session later on YouTube and you would like an introduction, please don't hesitate to reach out to me at kandonoff@globalventuring.com. The email is on the at the bottom of the slide. But before we start with the pitches, I'm now going to give the word to Melina Burkham from Silicon Valley Bank, who is going to share some really interesting insights from Silicon Valley Bank's data. So Melina, over to you, and please give me an indication when you want me to move the slides forward.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Cal. Yeah, we can flip. Perfect. So thrilled to be here. Huge thanks to GCV for allowing me to join and help kind of set the stage on all things retail and e-commerce for these incredible companies that we'll be hearing from shortly. I'll try to keep my bit brief, but in short, I've just got a few slides to run through today from SVB's Future of Retail Report, which we released earlier this year and is accessible in full on our website at svb.com, amongst kind of many other primary insight pieces. So Cal, if you don't mind flipping forward. So diving right in, I just kind of wanted to set the stage a little bit on how much the pandemic has changed the way consumers shop, accelerating adoption for retail tech, in particular e-commerce, in a way that's remained pretty steady even as we've returned to our normal habits and life elsewhere. As you can see on that top left-hand chart, US retail sales hit record highs of more than 200 billion and nearly 19% penetration during 2020, which has stayed relatively constant even in 2021. For context, that's more than 2.1 billion people globally that are shopping online now. Of course, that's not to say that retail or offline sales are in massive decline. And if we look at transaction channels, there's still a number of segments where e-commerce penetration is relatively low, but the way that we're utilizing that space is changing. So for example, industrial utilization, if we look to the graph on the bottom right, e-commerce requires warehouse space, and we see vacancy rates dropping to accommodate for that. With consumers demanding, a multitude of options like in-store pickup, buy online, pickup in store, curbside delivery, brick and mortar locations really have to accommodate distribution, fulfillment operations, which obviously means processes, layouts, inventory management systems, staff, etc. That kind of leads us to the other side of the coin here, which is really investor interest. Largely, I think investors have responded to changing consumer demands and behaviors as it relates to commerce, and dollars deployed as well as valuations have kind of reflected that in kind. So while commerce did see a slowdown in VC funding in 2020 as the pandemic hit, and with it uncertainty for investors, we saw an incredible bounce back in 2021 with nearly 900 deals inked and over 9 billion of venture dollars deployed across commerce enablement, e-commerce, and digital brand investments. In fact, as you can see, 2021 investment in e-commerce startups alone was higher than most of the prior years in entirety. Median post-money valuations, looking at some of those graphs on the bottom, climbed 45% between 2020 and 2021, and companies in that 75th percentile experienced valuation increases of nearly 120% as competition for some of the best deals really intensified. While we've started to see some compression, as you look at the 2022 numbers, in the middle 50% of commerce valuations, median valuations have remained strong and actually increased over 60% for the first quarter of 2022. That competition is thanks in part, I think, to healthy kind of crossover investor participation, in addition to, of course, corporate venture participation. And if you look at the charts in the top right, you'll notice nearly all of the funds leading round to the later stages were either corporate or non-traditional venture names. So pivoting a little bit to think about some of the elements that I think are top of mind, or bottom line, should I say, for retail and e-commerce scale-ups. Online advertising is obviously a core focus. Based on survey data, something like 54% of consumers are likely to look at a product in store, but then seek to buy it online. To add fuel to that fire, the advent of iOS 14 and 15 is really changing the way consumer companies have to think about reaching their target audiences and paying for that reach. As you can see by looking at the graph on the bottom left, median ad spend has only really continued to increase across all channels. And of course, the diversification of platforms has increased the pressure for companies to really think about their omni-channel strategy intentionally. Whether it's TikTok for the under 25s or Instagram and Meta for the millennials, consumers expect to be reached kind of where they want to be met, and increased optionality around privacy only really makes that more challenging. So maybe moving swiftly along, since I know we want to get to the main reason for why we're all here today. Cal, if you don't mind flipping forward. So for companies who do manage to kind of crack that code around product market fit, customer acquisition, maybe even profitability and lifetime value, what does that exit environment really look like? At least in 2021, we had a banner year for US tech IPOs that didn't leave the commerce sector behind, with at least 4 VC-backed commerce companies going public on major US exchanges in 2021 at a value of over 11 billion cumulatively. And the backlog, at least based on the number of commerce unicorns of IPO candidates, is really healthy for both digitally native, vertically integrated brands and e-commerce startups. On the M&A front, we've seen a pattern of omni-channel themed acquisitions emerge, which include building a brick and mortar presence, such as Amazon's acquisition of Whole Foods, leveraging technology to precede or tie in that physical store experience, and then accessing new communities by being where they reside. For example, in Nike's acquisition of Artifact, which to many of us may have just read as NFT mania, but as that online world really meshes more with our everyday lives, having a stake in that digital world is supremely important to both kind of the continuance of the Nike brand, but also retailers broadly. I can't really end this presentation without at least a nod to some of the volatility we've been starting to see in the markets, thanks in part to kind of increased macroeconomic concern around interest rates, inflation, potential recession. All that said, the M&A market did remain robust in the first quarter. We saw kind of a pullback in deal count, but transaction values have remained elevated year over year, and corporates have remained sort of the dominant acquirer, in part aided by healthy markets and strong balance sheets. We've also actually seen kind of an uptick in the number of sponsor-backed deals as a proportion of total M&A. So they now represent around 40% of M&A deals, up from less than a quarter in 2015. That said, IPOs haven't fared as well. They're down markedly from their 2021 highs. The first quarter of this year actually showed the fewest VC-backed tech IPOs since the start of the pandemic. And of course, the IPO window kind of seems all but shut at present. Still, there remains a substantial, really healthy IPO backlog, nearly 3.5x increase in tech IPOs by value, at least according to the New York Stock Exchange. And with some of those late stage valuations sort of starting to see compression, increasing the likelihood of maybe flat or down rounds, some private companies may be encouraged to kind of take that IPO plunge or explore sort of a strategic exit instead. So to wrap it up, if we can move to the last slide. Last but not least, I really sort of wanted to end this on a bright note. I think there's still so many elements of optimism and areas of excitement as it relates to both the venture and startup ecosystem, as well as e-commerce and retail. And while we're certainly kind of keeping an eye on many of the themes on the far right of this slide, I think it's also true that in our 40-year history as kind of the bank to startups and the innovation economy, we've seen some of the best companies get built, funded, and grow during down markets. I think there's just an incredible story to be built as consumers think through both the front end omni-channel experience, whether it's the metaverse or Web3, or really build out the infrastructure of that and kind of solving for logistical and transactional pain points. So in short, we remain very bullish on the growth of this sector and kind of the critical importance of technology in the way that we shop, transact, and discover consumer products. So on that note, I will stop talking and hand the mic back over to Cal so we can hear from some of the founders that are actually building the future we've hinted at towards here. So thank you.
Thank you, Melina. Thank you for sharing these data insights. Quite interesting, and hopefully we'll touch on some of the things and trends you mentioned later on in the panel discussion. Now, as you mentioned, we have quite a few startups pitching today, and I am really excited to hear from all of them. Each of them will have 7 minutes, which we will be timing, and then we will have a few minutes for Q&A after each pitch. I strongly encourage every panelist to ask questions. Now, in the spirit of fairness, I have to disclose that the startups have been recommended and selected by the corporates on the panel, and that some of them have received investments from the corporate venture firms represented on the panel. And also in the spirit of fairness, I will say that the startups today will present in alphabetical order by company name. So the first one to present will be Awake Chocolate and its founder and CEO, Adam Darimo.
Hi, everyone. My name's Adam Darimo. I'm co-founder and CEO of Awake Chocolate. Thank you for the invitation to participate. So for those of you who might not be familiar with Awake Chocolate, we make and sell a line of caffeinated chocolates that deliver the most delicious pick-me-up in the market. I founded Awake in late 2012 with two co-founders. All three of us are former PepsiCo and Kraft employees. So we have deep industry expertise, and we really apply a tier one management discipline to the business, even though we're a small but growing company. We launched Awake in response to consumer insights, and specifically it was the observation that amongst consumers who indicated they had a need in their routines for more energy, 20 to 30% of them weren't buying products in any category that would meet that need. When you ask why you're not participating in any of the product categories, overwhelmingly the answer is, I can't find anything that I like the taste of. And that really was the problem that we built Awake to solve. Because we were solving for delicious energy, taste really is the North Star of the Awake brand. It's at the core of everything we do. And we won't launch a product unless it truly delivers against that promise. Our approach is straightforward. We use simple ingredients. So compared to energy drinks, I think that's an advantage for us. There's nothing in our chocolate bars that doesn't absolutely need to be there. We use a proprietary energy blend, which makes the caffeine tasteless. So you experience only the enjoyable taste of delicious chocolate and other tasty ingredients. And we work with a network of contract manufacturers to do our production. We own all of the IP in those relationships. The formulas are ours, unquestionably. And I think that the testament to our commitment to taste is really observable in consumer reviews. We have over 5,000 reviews on Amazon and an average rating of 4.7 out of 5. There are a lot of use cases for Awake, but our core consumer, accounting for about 40% of our sales, is a millennial or Gen X woman. Typically, she is high achieving, more affluent than usual, and not surprisingly busy. There are some other consumer cohorts that are pretty attractive for our brand as well. And those include college and university students and millennial men. Our primary marketing and acquisition tactics are a combination of paid and earned digital media, combined with PR and an ongoing commitment to product sampling, either through event sponsorship or activation, or through online subscription boxes. Awake is available in a variety of delicious flavors and formats, but the most popular format by far is our bite-sized piece. Each piece is 90 calories or less, certified gluten-free, contains less than 9 grams of sugar. And I should point out that our AOV is over $60. So that would be 2 of these boxes that you see on the screen, or about 100 pieces. And that really is a driver of good basket economics for our business. And the bite-sized pieces are also ultra convenient, which we know is a huge driver of purchase. Our most recent innovation is Awake No Sugar Added. So it's a line of bite-sized pieces that are keto certified. They don't contain any sugar. And true to our commitment to taste, we formulated these chocolates without the use of stevia. So they deliver a superior taste performance relative to any low or no sugar products that are currently in the market. We're excited about this innovation because it opens the door to new cohorts of consumers and also to some new channels of trade. So we expect this line, which just launched in April, to be a significant driver of growth, and it's off to a very strong start so far. I know that supply chain concerns are omnipresent these days, and in the last 18 months, we've taken a number of steps to strengthen our position there. We now have a network of 3 contract manufacturers, all GFSI certified across Canada. That gives us both the capacity and redundancy in our system that we need to manage our growth. And we have a robust broker and distributor network that enables us to service any point of distribution in the lower 48 states. Some financial highlights. Our channel mix is somewhat unusual for a packaged food and beverage company in that it's highly pointed towards food service. We do tremendously well in the office and campus channels. 30% of our business, but growing, is driven by direct to consumer. Because we have so much food service business, we were negatively disposed to COVID. We're having a very strong recovery, up 60% year to date. And that's an accelerating trend. We're up 110% quarter over quarter in Q2. Gross margins are 40%. Our LTV is $156 and growing. And we have a declining CAC, which is also attractive. We run a pretty lean team enabled by our contract manufacturing model. So we're relatively low overhead business. So to try and quickly summarize, we have an outstanding product. It's well liked by consumers and distinctive branding. Tremendous impulse channel distribution capabilities unlocked by one of our lead investors, B Tomorrow Ventures, and an experienced management team. We are planning to raise capital later this year. And things that we're looking for from an investment partner would be any capability in the natural or premium grocery distribution space, supply chain capability, either on the capacity or procurement side, and CPG marketing experience at scale. So thank you. And if you're interested in contacting me, it's adam@awakechocolate.com, and my phone number is on the slide here. Thank you.
Thank you, Adam. Let's start with the Q&A.
Yeah, Adam, great pitch. Cool chocolate. I think I'm gonna go find some. Where are you sourcing your cacao from, and where's that all set? I know in this industry there's a lot of sort of sustainability, fair trade sort of issues. So where are you looking to source?
Yeah, good question. Like most manufacturers, we buy common to market chocolate. So we purchase most of our chocolate from Barry Callebaut. And we're happy with their sourcing. They have the Responsible Partner Program and Cocoa Horizons, both of which I think are good programs that demonstrate their commitment to sustainability and fair treatment of farmers. And we also buy from a couple of other large cocoa processors, but overwhelmingly Barry Callebaut is our lead supplier.
And who would you say is your main competitor in the space? I know there's energy drinks, and there's unhealthy, but then
I don't think
one. But then where, in functional food, is it things with ginkgo in it or those sort of level stuff?
Yeah, I wouldn't say that we have a head-on competitor. I'd say the most comparable company out there is probably Verb Energy. So they make a line of granola bars that are also caffeinated. They're a pure play D2C, and that's a point of difference for us. We drive over half of our sales from brick and mortar.
Cool. So that's your main channel, I guess. How else do you get the word out? How do other people find out about you?
Well, we're doing more and more digital marketing, and D2C has been a growing part of our business. 3 years ago, it accounted only for about 15% of sales. It's up to 30% and growing at close to 100% year on year. So, from an omni-channel perspective, we think we'll have a bigger e-commerce business over time, but there's also a ton of runway left in impulse channel B2B, both on-premise food service, where we have expertise, and in the convenience and gas channel, where we're really building that footprint with help from BTV.
I was going to jump in and ask, what's kind of the total TAM that you're chasing? What's your penetration been like through maybe some of the retail channels? Obviously super strong footprint, kind of direct to consumer, and seems like that's an area of growth, but what's the bigger potential here as you guys scale up?
Yeah, I think it's highly significant. If you just look at our core consumer group, the Millennial and Gen X women, there are 50 million members of that group in North America alone. And then from a channels of trade perspective, our overall penetration of retail within North America, and even if we just want to focus on impulse, is less than 5%. So there's a really significant runway. And, there are use cases beyond Millennial and Gen X women. But I think that is the most identifiable and the highest value group for us to be chasing. and we've got a lot of runway left.
Yeah, very cool. Thanks.
All right. Well, thank you, Adam. Great presentation. Let's move on to the next pitch then. So next up is Blockhead and Danny Lowe, who is founder and director.
Hi, everybody. I'm Danny Lowe. I'm the founder and director of Blockhead. Great to see you all and meet everybody. Great. So what is Blockhead? Well, Blockhead are a functional confectionery company. So we produce a range of enjoyable products that are taken orally, but quickly change your physical or mental ability fast. So Blockhead is actually a company that I founded while I was at university. I was doing a degree in sports science because I was fascinated in how you get the most out of your performance, whether or not that's for a sport specifically, or also in terms of work, presentation, things like that. And I had a lecture on how you get active ingredients into the body quickly and efficiently. And confectionery was one of those items. And I was really surprised by that at the time, because not only is it portable, can be taken anytime, anywhere, liquid-free and enjoyable, it's also an amazing delivery mechanism, and specifically chewing gum on this point of view, because you absorb it through your gums, underneath your tongue, sublingually. So it's a really quick way of getting it into the system, because it doesn't need to be swallowed and then digested. And I thought that was like a really, really interesting thing that confectionery was offering as a point of difference. So to kind of put that into perspective, it worked in 5 minutes as opposed to 25 minutes for a drink per trade. And the first kind of product and the first area that I wanted to look at was energy. It's an obvious one, but each piece of our energy gum contains an espresso's worth of caffeine per piece, but it works in 5 minutes, not 25 minutes. It's completely sugar-free. It contains all your B vitamins. It's a very minty, fresh flavor. And it's great for numerous different use cases, from driving to sports to revision cramming. Initially, I thought it was just going to be a sports-focused product. And then quickly, when I told friends of friends and got it around campus, I realized that it was being used for hangover recoveries, late night studying, all of those different aspects to it as well. But in general, performance and getting the most out of things, we take more of a holistic view. So it's not just about that energy and that need for an impulse straight away, but wanted to combine a whole range of products which tapped into things like relaxation, revitalization, shining for any moment. So we increased the range of products that we offer, which have expanded out into CBD. So we do a CBD chewing gum. Each piece contains 3 milligrams, or a whole pack is 21 milligrams of CBD. It's very minty flavored. It's not got any of that kind of earthy sort of taste to it. Can be taken on the go. It's also very discreet because it sits in your pocket nicely, and it's really tapping into that kind of recovery and recovery and also calming kind of aspect of the market. We also have a vitamin gum. This was actually our second product. In the UK, 1 in 5 adults and 1 in 6 children is vitamin D deficient. We thought that it would be a great way to add vitamin D and all the other vitamins in a way which wasn't using a tablet or a pill. It was something you could take on the go, an enjoyable experience, which didn't need water. You could just take it when you're on the train or actually in the office directly. We also have potentially our most kind of traditional product. It's a shine gum. It's an activated charcoal-based gum filled with other active ingredients, such as bicarbonate of soda, calcium, things like that. But it's also an incredibly strong gum. So before a meeting or before a presentation, it gives you a real kind of kick. Certainly if you've had a coffee beforehand or something, you're not going to have any of that lingering sort of taste to it. You're going to feel very fresh. And at the complete opposite end of the scale to the energy gum, we have the sleep mints. So this is more about not just helping you fall asleep, but really maximizing that sleep, because for you to really go and seize the next day, you need to get a good night's sleep. And kind of finally, our most recent product, one that I think is really exciting is our range of sweets. This is a prebiotic-based sweet. We replaced sugar with a prebiotic and added BCAAs in there. So it's completely sugar-free. It's designed to fuel your gut and also fuel your body, but with very little calories, no sugar. It's good for teeth, and kind of works from that 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. period when you might be needing a little bit of extra energy or a snack or something, and also being very good for kind of recovery in those areas as well. In general, we've got a functional toolkit of products which are tapping into various need states of we're trying to build a good confectionery range to tap into various need states that people have, adding a completely different element to the confectionery category as it currently stands. And this is really exciting because the market potentials and the area of these industries are huge. We're really tapping in, and they're also growing as well, which is great because the chewing gum category is currently in a slight case of decline and not innovating in this area. Consumers are also demanding things to be immediate, convenient, discreet, healthy, particularly with things like COVID, where health is now becoming the forefront of people's mind. They want something that not only fuels their lifestyle, but it's also what they know they're putting in their body is healthy as well. And then from a category perspective as well, I've mentioned it earlier, but we're adding a completely new dimension to the chewing gum stand itself. It's adding an additional reason for people to purchase from it. The category as it stands, the biggest innovation has been mostly around increasing the bottle size or changing the flavor of it, and therefore adding new reasons, new purchase drivers, energy through to calm is adding a real point of difference to the category. From a Blockhead perspective, we started in the UK, where we tend to try and get into retailers with various need states. We also have an omni-channel approach for Amazon and our website itself. And we've also recently launched into Switzerland and Sweden as well, where we've gone into quite a large number of stores and gained quite a large market share in the very off as well. And then finally, what we're looking at doing over the future is making sure that no one's ever 5 minutes away from a pack of Blockhead. We want to be the next Red Bull, the Wrigley's of this space, and making sure that we have market penetration, product awareness, and also build that ability for people to go and get their product at that moment of need. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Danny. Let's see if we have questions for Danny from the panelists.
What's your distribution strategy, and how do you intend to really become, let's say, I don't know if you want to become a global brand or not, but how do you really want to, kind of acquire a significant market share?
Yeah, we tend to target energy and CBD are our two lead products, and we tend to target areas where people are most in need of those products. So petrol stations, airports, areas of travel, universities, and also coffee shops and offices as an additional area for people to discover the product. So anywhere where there's a high need state for that product is where we tend to build out our distribution route from it.
Any additional questions for Danny?
If there are no other questions from the fellow investors, Blockhead is obviously BTV's portfolio company. So Danny, maybe just a brief comment about your exciting plans for the next year or so, and geographic expansion. I know some of that, but perhaps to share with the audience.
Yeah, I think something we've done very recently has been our launch into Sweden, where we launched into roughly just under 2,000 stores in one fell swoop, and it's driving us a real deep kind of penetration into that market space through really good retailers where you'd expect to find our product immediately. We're planning on rolling that out across Europe, but also in the future also looking to come over to the States as well, where it has the highest market potential, most amount of energy drinks consumed in the world, and most amount of chewing gum consumed in the world as well. So for us, that will become a kind of key point of focus to us as things progress.
That sounds very exciting. Thanks for sharing that. Any additional questions for Danny on Blockhead chewing gum? In which case, thank you, Danny. We're going to move on to the next presentation. So next up is Datup.ai and Paula Serna, who is one of the co-founders. Paula, can you hear us?
Yes, hi. Hi, everyone. I'm Paola. I'm co-founder and CEO of Datup. So I'm here today because I want to tell you how we are transforming data into savings. 99% of what you own, what you've seen in supermarkets, what you see in pharmacies, what you see in stores, has passed through a supply chain, a manufacturer, a distributor, transportation. Our daily lives depend so much on supply chain. And planning that supply chain is hard. You have lots of providers, lots of clients, lots of products, lots of raw materials to make it work. Plus, you have all the challenges that we know that supply chains are going through right now in the world. All of these challenges are represented, believe it or not, in large amounts of data. So the process of planning in supply chain is really complex to manage, and companies currently are doing it manually in spreadsheets, and it's really inefficient. Poor supply chain costs a lot. 63% is how frequently inventory is inaccurate in retail. A third of shipments worldwide will miss a deadline because they sold an item that's out of stock. There's a $50 billion overstock problem, and less than a quarter of existing companies worldwide have a proactive supply chain network. So it's all about the efficiency of actionable insights, timely insights that require good processing of data and automation tools for planning. So what if customers could have a platform that connects and collaborates to share effectively data points for all actors in planning, so that they can communicate and keep all data flows automated without the need of breaking their heads to know what's the inventory level they need to maintain, how to anticipate what their demand will be, whether this will go to production on time or not, and the platform that supports full integration with all their existing systems. This is why we created Datup, a simple, scalable, and SaaS platform solution for supply chain planning that allows companies that currently depend on spreadsheets to automate their planning. We integrate their data, internal and external data. External is like weather, currencies, macroeconomic factors that can affect their demand. We integrate all this data. We forecast their demand. We optimize the inventory, all in an easy and in a timely manner. Everything is automated. And all of this is leveraged through big data, cloud computing, and artificial intelligence, which makes it reliable and efficient. We can be 99% faster and more precise than what companies are currently doing. And we help companies integrate their data in a central place, avoid manual data preparing so they can focus in strategic decisions. We reduce 4 times their lost sales or stockouts, and we reduce 3 times their overstock. So in the end, it's about delivering a higher fulfillment to end customers and getting better service levels at a better cost. To tell you a bit about our competitors, basically we do have competitors, but they are very consultant and they don't have fast implementations. We can have results as fast as in 2 hours. We have automated models. We incorporate external data to see how it impacts the demand that the customer is having. And we do mainly 3 things different. One is include those external variables to see the changing in the environment that all supply chains are having right now. We give a portal for visibility for the providers of our clients so they can prepare and anticipate of what their client is going to ask for them. So for the next 4 weeks, the next 12 weeks, what they are going to ask, what they are going to buy. And in this form, they can prepare better to fulfill their demand. And the third thing is that we do it fast. Basically, our business model is composed by a setup fee and a subscription fee based on the amount of items, the processing frequency, and the activated features a client has. To let you know a bit of our market opportunity, basically, we are focused in the supply chain artificial intelligence software, which grows at a 17.5%. annually. And we aim for 30,000 companies that are from the retail, food, and chemical industry, hoping to get a market share piece of $150 million. Right now, we have 15 paying customers. They are in South America, and they are exporting services. They have been with us for the last, from beginning, we have no churn. Basically, last year we sold $150,000, and right now we're projected to grow five times that in 2022. We are currently at around $450,000, so we already doubled our sales last year. To tell you about our team, we are a bunch of technical engineers, geeks. We've known each other for more than 18 years, and we're passionate about data and how it can imply a useful and significant use for industry, and how it can help us make better decisions. Why now? Why timing is everything? We have the tech that allows data productivity. Companies that are realizing they need tools to manage and succeed in the complexity of today's supply chain, and we can offer that one-stop planning solution that they need. So thank you, and join us in transforming data into savings.
Thank you, Paula. Now let's open for questions. Questions for Paula?
I have a question actually. What exactly is sort of the business model and kind of the go-to-market there? Like, how are you charging customers? Are they paying per seat, or how does that work?
Yeah, we have a setup fee just to implement the platform, like customize according to their rules, amount of data sources they have, how many products they need to forecast, and how they need to forecast. For example, a company has 500 items. They need to do it for 4 countries. Each country has 20 distribution centers, and distribution centers go into 50 clients, for example. So setup fee is to forecast that granularity, and after everything is implemented, a subscription fee, so they can keep getting the results for each week.
Wonderful. Okay, thanks.
Great job, Paula. Amazing that you have no churn so far. What sort of feedback have your customers given you, and have you been implementing that as you go through? It'd be interesting to know. Yes.
Basically, we started just with forecasting demand, and basically, as we've seen customers, the planning implies a bit more, so we've added those functionalities that they've needed. Basically, like optimize their inventory. We're doing the visibility of their providers, so their providers can anticipate what they are going to order. So we've received, our main function is forecasting. And one good thing is that the precision and accuracy that we offer is better than the existing solutions and what they had. So first feedback is that we're accurate, and we've helped them with better service levels and lower stockouts and lower lower inventory, like lower obsolete inventory. And everything that they've told us, we've managed to give another functionality to the platform, and that's how we are constructing the roadmap, so that the whole planning is in a one-stop platform.
Lovely. And what's your sales cycle like? How long is it taking you to?
Yeah. Okay. So that's one of our main challenges. Basically, we are targeting B2B, businesses that in the mid-market or enterprise, and there are a lot of decision makers there. So the sales cycle takes typically from 3 months to 8 months. So it's a constant challenge to see how we can lower those sales cycles, especially because there's a lot of education to give to the client around technology, AI, big data, and so. So we're doing a content marketing strategy to help give awareness for those decision makers to tell them that there's a better way. And we work daily on how to shorten those sales cycles.
Paola, perhaps a build up on that question, if I may ask. How smooth is the technology integration, given the customers you are targeting? Obviously, they have existing systems in place. So to put Datup in practice, how smoothly or how difficult it is, or easy?
No, it's really easy. We've managed to make a platform that automates the integration of data very fast. So we can connect to data sources with pre-built connectors in minutes. And what takes a bit of time is preparing the parameters for the granularity that the client needs. So if someone just needs, what's the forecast of all my 500 items, we can do that in about 3 hours. Okay, we have a SaaS platform that anyone can try. But if you need now regions per distribution center per client, that takes a bit longer. But the longest that we're taking is 8 weeks for a full setup. That's faster than most solutions.
Thank you.
Ola, maybe adding to that comment that there's no what are the needs in terms of programming, or what's the need of expertise on the other side, on the customer side, compared to other tools in the market?
Yes, basically we deliver everything to the client, so they just give us access to the data. They just give us a user and an access, secure access, just to connect directly to the data source. And we have a first meeting just to tell us a bit of how the business is run. And after that, we just give them results. So basically, there's no technical expertise needed by the client. Our platform is really easy to use and to learn. So we just give training of 2 hours just to read the results and to know where everything is. And they don't need to hit a run button. They just receive results to their email or through their dashboards, and they just have availability of the results at any time.
All right, that sounds like a very useful tool that you've developed, Paola. Thank you. Moving along to the next presentation. So next up, we have OlaClick and Jose Rico, who is one of the co-founders.
Perfect. So I'm Jose Rico. I'm co-founder and co-CEO of OlaClick. In OlaClick, we are trying to solve the digitalization problem of restaurants in Latin America. When we started 16 months ago now, in the middle of COVID, 4 co-founders, we saw that the solutions that were deployed in Latin America, like delivery apps, were not a fit for the long tail of restaurants or the majority of restaurants. Not only for the unit economics, but also because of the coverage they have in Latin America. And we found out as well that all restaurants were using other channels, digital channels, and more like traditional channels like phone that are not efficient to receive orders. I always like to show this Google report. It's external, that shows how in Brazil orders are made by customers when they order food. Combined, more than 80% of the orders happen in WhatsApp, phone calls, e-commerce sites, or even Instagram. So what we try to tackle here is build a solution for this type of orders. Also, there is something very important in LATAM, that is cash payments is still huge. FinTech is growing a lot. But for example, in Mexico, the orders that happen in food delivery are more than 80% are made by cash. And then the last piece of e-commerce, and the most important thing when you talk about e-commerce, is restaurants want to own the customer. Fidelity is one of the most important things for a business. And when you are thinking about having a successful business, you have to think about this. So this leaves us a TAM of 3.6 million restaurants, which is around the 80% of the population, 500 million people in Latin America. So these 4 friends, we know each other for 10 years, 4 European friends, 3 friends, and I'm Spanish. We have been living in Latin America for more than 10 years as well. We decided to build OlaClick. We count with a great team. Sorry for saying this, but I really believe it. Carol, he had already an exit. He sold his marketplace of buses to Naspers 2 years just before COVID. He was very lucky. Then we have Morgan, who is our CTO. He is the guy that is in charge of the engineering team. And it's something very important to mention this because in LATAM now there is a huge problem with finding engineers, and he has hacked the way of finding them, and we don't have any problems on finding engineers, so we are lucky for that. And then Ulises, who is the type of guy that sells you anything, even if you don't like it. And then myself, I'm the boring guy of the team. I'm used to work for corporate companies, including Google for the last 3 years. I was in charge of Rappi, which is one of the most successful delivery apps in LATAM. So in the middle of COVID, we decided to create a very simple tool that every type of restaurant, even if you have a home kitchen or a dark kitchen, you can create your account. You receive an e-commerce, and with this site, you can start selling. And what happens when you start selling? Like, you become more efficient because you don't have to change numerous messages. Imagine receiving 100 messages in a day in WhatsApp. So now you have an e-commerce set up. You start collecting data from your customers, which allows you to start building fidelity. Because, for example, you could know if a customer has an order for the last 3 weeks, but it was a regular customer, you can make an offer and make him reorder. You can, for example, estimate which is going to be your demand for the next day, or which are the best dishes in a certain region. And then the last part of the direct to consumer, which is the most challenging, that is generating demand. We are building tools. We have been integrating with Google, Facebook, including WhatsApp as well, to be able to capture demand. One of the most challenging things for the standalone e-commerce shops, even if it's retail or it's food, is to generate this demand. So we have built a set of tools that allow restaurants to create this. We are following a playbook. We are in LATAM, and we are following a playbook of other players like PopMenu in the US or Chornow. LATAM is a little bit behind in terms of some things, so we are trying to copy that playbook. In this year and a half, now we have 45,000 active restaurants. On the B2B side, we always like to say that we have been obsessed about the B2B, but we like to see with another eye to the B2C side. Why is that? Is this because these restaurants bring more than 4 million users every month to our platform. Okay, so I have to be quick. These 4 million unique users have more than 1 million orders per month in the platform, which is around 12 million in GMV. We have been growing more than 35% month over month. And you can see the growth in every country in LATAM. Brazil is the most ahead because it's also a little bit advanced compared to the others. On the retention side, we have been working on the YC model, working with product interviews, and we have been better and better. Now we have 71% of retention over the 6 months. The GMV per restaurant is more than $500 now. We started with 85, which is something to highlight. And our CAC is very low. It's under $9. Our digital acquisition channel is mainly digital, and we have an offline channel, but it's less than the 10%. We don't monetize yet. It's important to mention we are working in monetization now. So we just launched payments to start taking a small fee. Also marketing tools. We are integrating with other partners and logistics, which is something that we are working with partners like OverDirect or Pedidos Ya, which is part of Delivery Hero, who has invested in us. Our current investors include Y Combinator, Meta, Gradient Ventures with Google, and Delivery Hero. And other players like, of course, Arca Continental, one of our best partners, and other players in the US and Europe. Thank you very much. If you want to contact us, you can write an email to founders@olaclick.com.
Thank you, Jose. Now let's see what questions the panelists have got for you.
Yeah. So if I continue, Jose, how do you think about, you said that the food delivery apps are not fit for purpose. How do you think about them entering that space and how OlaClick would potentially stand that competitive entry?
They are already doing it. Like, for example, Rappi and iFood had their efforts on that, and they tried. Rappi stopped. They started 1.5 years ago with Propio, and they stopped the project. And iFood is trying as well. But there is this conception of restaurants that are feeling a little bit not secure with this type of solutions, because they see that they are going to steal the data and stuff. Also, to mention, I think this is important, Delivery Hero, which is one of the major players in this space, have invested in us because they see us as a potential, like a frenemy, or we are friends, but you never know. And you can go, for example, DoorDash just acquired a company very similar to us in the US. So what we like to say is, like, it's a complement. Like, direct to consumer is not a competitor. They can to be a successful restaurant, you need to have both channels. So what we are doing is being focused on the success of the restaurant, and of course they can try their solution, but we are more focused on the solution. So I think we are doing well in that space.
Gabby?
Yes, hi, Jose. What markets of LATAM are you acting on right now, and what kind of traction do you see in if it's more than one geography? And
we have organic restaurants outside of LATAM, like Asia and Africa. We don't look for them because our platform is scalable and you can sign up wherever you are. You can try it if you want, but our main countries are Brazil and Mexico and Colombia. If you combine, the three countries represent more than 75% of the restaurants and the orders. Is where the biggest populations are as well, and is where we are putting our efforts now.
Any other questions for Jose? All right, in which case, thank you, Jose. Let's move on to the next presentation. So next up is Ignacio, who's co-founder of Samply.
Yes, hi, hello.
Hello.
My name is Ignacio Yorsi. I'm the co-founder of Samply. So we are Samply. We are an omni-channel sales platform for consumer goods companies. We're called Samply because we like to say that we are trying to make sales made simple, and we like to define us as like the Salesforce for CPG or consumer goods companies. And our MTP, our massive transformative purpose, is to evolve B2B relationships into simplicity. So that's what we are trying to build. So how did Samply started? Samply, I worked in Coca-Cola for 5 to 6 years, and I learned all these efficient processes that were efficient and standardized. Forecasting, dynamic routing, goal setting, granularity on discounts, suggested orders, omni-channel strategy, all this stuff. And this process were mounted on outdated computer software. And then I worked as a consultant for Latin American SMEs, and I found more rudimentary or lack of efficient processes. So I identified this gap quite easily. So when I was working with one of these companies, I talked with many competitors and find out that there was not a solution for many pains that these companies had. So that I was working with consultants from AB InBev, Pepsi, Unilever, and we partnered up with these guys that were working with exponential technologies. AI, analytics, automation, WhatsApp, and B2B e-commerce. And with one customer that was in pain, we built a whole solution that embedded all these world-class processes that all these companies have into one single piece of software, so that they have, we built like a tech solution that creates world-class commercial processes for the small and medium enterprises. Okay, so through our software, we gave these companies and many others, as we are a SaaS solution, how the big guys, how the efficient processes work, right? So how does the CPG industry works? We have the manufacturers that build these products or produce them. We have the distributors and wholesalers. We have stores and consumers. We focus mainly into this B2B sales process in companies that have on-route sales reps and have telesales. I mean, that they sell over the phone, and they sell goods into stores in a recurring way, in a weekly or on a monthly basis. And what is the problem? The main problem is that the CPG companies, the sales reps spend less than 30% of their time in adding value to the client. They are doing non-value adding activities like 70% of the time. And on the other hand, the merchants, they're not happy with the customer-supplier relationships. Actually, there's a study of McKinsey that says that the omni-channel is the way to go right now, and they would rather have 30% on-site sales, 34% chat or phone, and 36% B2B e-commerce to place the orders. And this impacts negatively on their transactions, in their average deal size, in their NPS, and it increased the cost of goods sold. So what did we do? We created Samply as an omnichannel B2B sales platform where we have an on-route sales mobile app for the sales reps that are in the street. We have a telesales to sell over the phone. This is a web application. We have an integration with WhatsApp that sends automated messages outbound and receives inbound as well to connect with the appropriate telesales person. And we have a B2B e-commerce. So we have this omni-channel suite. And what is our key differentiator? Because we have this hybrid and omni-channel sales suite, and it's powered by AI, automation, and with all this information that goes into this ecosystem, we create insights. We provide these companies insights about how are they working and what opportunities or what threats do they have. And what we are doing impacts directly in these results. I mean, we increase the amount of transactions, we increase the average deal size, we have better NPS with the customers, we reduce the cost of goods sold, and we deliver the data-driven insights for these companies. Okay, we are a SaaS company. We have a different kind of plans according to the amount of users. And regarding our traction, we have now right now in June we're around 30K a month in revenue. We have closed 30 clients so far. Our MRR in December will be around 36K. We have an annual contract value of 15K. Our lifetime value to customer acquisition cost is around 16x. We're in 4 countries right now, and our ARR has grown. We launched in the end of 2020 with some small revenue. And last year we had a revenue of 34K. We are now we closed 30 deals for this year, so we will be around 300K right now. And next year we plan to be around $1 million. Regarding our financials, we're going to get a bit positive in 2024. So right now we're looking for a round size of 500K later this year. Right now we have runway still, but we are looking for 500K for December this year. We're starting a new round. Okay, so and here is my regarding the team, we are 4 co-founders. We are 2 that Ignacio and Agustina are the CEO and CFO, and Dario and Franco, they are technical guys. They build the product, and we have 2 advisors. Thomas is a Harvard MBA that used to work in Coca-Cola for many years, and he's now a director in Mercado Libre. And Alex, he's a new business sales lead at Google for Latin America. Okay, and here's my contact information. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ignacio. Let's see what questions the panelists have got for you.
Hey, Ignacio, can you talk a little bit about the competitive landscape on this? What would these be using if they're not using you for this?
Sure. Do you mean our competition?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. We're mainly focusing in Latin America for the time being, and we have right now in Latin America like around 5 or 6 competitors. Only 3 of them, I would say that they are strictly competing with us in this niche, that is CPG. But there are many other companies like, maybe some enterprise companies like Salesforce, that they have different solutions for each industry, and they do not focus mainly on CPG. But here in Latin America, there are like around 4 or 5. I have in our data room, we have a single slide talking about our competition. It is a quite big space. It is not that crowded in competition. But I would say that we have just like 4 or 5 different competitors that I could send you a list of them if you want.
So what would you say is your advantage over these others?
Okay, against our competition, I would say that we have this different approach of omnichannel, because they mainly focus on route sales. I mean, mobile app selling, and they are not focusing mainly in B2B commerce or WhatsApp. That is quite huge right now. So I would say that we have a different edge in that way. And we have as well this automation. We're based on automation and how to make things simpler for our sales reps. And we are powering with AI, for example, to get better forecasts. We have a forecast app inside Samply, so that you can have a better suggested orders, so that each time you go to sell, you have a better accuracy in your forecasting in how much you're going to sell each time. So I would say that our edge is that we have a fully omnichannel approach with empowered by AI and automation.
Thanks.
A quick question. In Latam, there are a lot of companies. They are specializing in multiple verticals, right? So for instance, there are companies, and actually large companies, that have raised significant money to automate, let's say, chats with the CRM of the companies. Other startups, they have, automated everything about logistics, routing, blah, blah, blah. So why your value proposition is better, offering multiple things at once, vis-a-vis the different startups that have already raised significant amount of money in the market, and also the traditional software such as SAP and others that provide a comprehensive service for large corporates?
Yeah. Okay, great. So we definitely have a different approach, since our team comes from the CPG industry. I mean, we comprehend the pains and the difficulties and the problems that are in this industry. So we understand this niche. So there are a lot of competition for example, in the chatbot, like you mentioned, in the chatbot space, but they are not focused mainly into the CPG industry. They are more like a cross-channel or cross-industry. So we are specifically building a product that only for this niche, that is food and beverages mainly company or CPG companies, and we're building an omni-channel solution into that. So we're not trying to compete against these chatbots. And regarding SAP and the big ones, we are competing in a tier of the industry that is small and medium enterprises. We're not competing against SAP or Salesforce that focus mainly in the enterprise. So we are focusing mainly in the small and medium businesses that they do not have the money to buy a Salesforce that is like around $1 million a year in licenses. So, and we're trying to bring this way of working that the big companies have embedded into one product. So we are trying to teach these small companies. I mean, imagine 20 sales reps companies that they don't know how to forecast how much they're going to sell, and they don't know how to plan that sell, how to define the routes. So we bring up an embedded process so that they can work better in a different way, like the big guys do. So we're not competing against this SAP, like I told you, or this Salesforce, for example. Yes.
All right. Thank you very much, Ignacio. And now we're going to move on to Zippin and Federico Arbio, who is its CEO. Last but not least.
Hi, Caluyan. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Yes, okay. Loud and clear. And by the way, I think I owe you an apology because I believe I put the wrong logo on my slides. So I'll make sure to fix that before we send out a copy of the slide deck to all the people who have subscribed to this webinar and may see the recording later on. So apologies on that one.
No worries. Don't worry about
it. You may start sharing your presentation when ready.
So thank you, Caluyan. Hi, everybody. My name is Federico, and I am a co-founder and CEO at Zippin. Zippin was founded by Enrique, Gabriel, and myself in 2018. And back in that time, the three of us were working for another company that provided e-commerce services. And among all those services, the distribution and logistics was one of them. And what we discovered there was that there is no logistic operator able to provide multiple types of services with national coverage, competitive prices, traceability, technology. So in order to fulfill our customers' needs, we had to work along with multiple providers. And doing that was very difficult because we had to hire a dedicated team, and it wasn't part of our original plan. And of course, it was a lot of time and money consuming. So it was a really tough situation for us. Long story short, the company ran out of business in 2018, and with my current partners, we thought that if we had that problem, there should be a lot of small and medium companies with the same type of issues. So we decided to focus on solving this problem, and this is how Zippin was born. Zippin is a cloud platform that enables online sellers to manage all their logistics in one place. And to accomplish that, we basically provide all the options that the seller needs to do so. So the first option, and actually the first answer to that problem, was the Zippin network, which, as the name indicates, is a network integrated by more than 50 carriers with pre-negotiated tariff and all the processes, the commercial, operational, technological processes standardized. So it is a network that is fully managed by us. In addition to that, we offer a self-service mode, which is a service that allows our customers to manage their distribution with their own vehicles, and we provide them the technology to do that. By technology, I mean we provide them the platform with all the integrations to the online channels, and we also provide them a mobile application with a lot of features. For instance, they have route optimization, label scanning, label traceability, notifications, and other features. And in addition to that, we also offer a gateway mode, which is a service that allows to our customers to manage their own commercial contracts with third parties logistics within the platform. So all these options are totally combinable and complementary among them. For the Zippin network, we also offer multiple dispatch options. So the products can be collected by us, or it can be dispatched at multiple drop-off points that we have across the country. Or also the customers can choose to send their products to our warehouses facilities, where we take care of the storage, the picking and packing, and the expedition. So this is how it looks, the platform. And first of all, my apologies, this is in Spanish. We haven't translated yet to the English, but this is the main screen. It basically shows a summary. So the customers can check their balance account. They can see if there is any general notification. They can check if there is any incident that might require their attention. The network can be totally customized by our customers the way they consider best. So if they want to turn off a carrier and then turn it on again, they can do it from here. To do so, we provide them a lot of KPIs so they can take their decisions based on information. That information includes a lot of operational information and financial information. And we also provide a lot of information to our carriers so they can check their performance, and they also can answer if there is any inquiry of if there is any incident with any shipment or whatever. They can do it from here. They don't need to go and send an email or check their phone or make a phone call. They just can manage everything from here. The platform is integrated to the top marketplaces and selling platforms from Latin America, so our customers can be connected to their accounts with very few clicks. And the platform also offers a public API, so they can make their own integrations to their softwares. So we are currently operating in Argentina and Chile. We are launching Mexico by the end of this year, and we are planning on launching Colombia and Peru by the next year. And regarding our business model, we basically charge a markup over the network cost. And we are able to do that because we negotiate with our carriers as a wholesale. And we can do that because we act as an aggregator of multiple customers. As of today, we have more than 350 customers, active customers. So for the self-service mode and gateway mode, we charge our customers with a flat fee per transaction, which is about 50 cents per $50. No, sorry, 50 cents of dollars per transaction. And we have launched recently on April a white label business model, which allows our customers to use the platform with all the integrations and the interface as its own product with their customers. So we charge them with a license fee plus a variable per transaction. Okay, thank you everybody. Here you have my contact information. So if you need further information or if you want to know everything else, so just send me an email to this address. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Federico. Questions for Federico on Zippin?
Hey, Federico, thanks for the presentation. Would you mind briefly maybe recapping on what's the secret sauce of Zippin? Where do you guys stand out versus others?
You mean against our competitors, or?
Yes.
I think that the main difference we have is that we are not just a carrier aggregator. There are some platforms that only aggregate carriers. We started as a carrier aggregator. That would be basically the Zippin network. But then we realized that we wasn't solving the full problem of our customers, because they needed to manage their own vehicles, and also they wanted to have another options because they already have some contracts, some commercial contracts. So we started to add more tools. So Zippin, I would say that the secret sauce, as you said, is that we are every time launching new tools in order to fulfill our customers' needs. We are not just a carrier aggregator. We are continuously launching, tools like the self-service mode, the gateway mode, mobile applications, inventories management, and everything else.
Thank you.
Federico, maybe you can share how you work with large e-commerce platforms like Mercado Libre and providing different alternatives, and how also corporate customers interact between their own fleet and their peaks in demand where they need to outsource.
Yeah, we actually work a lot with Mercado Libre, as Gabriela said, and we also work a lot with Tienda Nube. To do that, we offer a lot of options, multiple type of services, as I said, because the Zippin network also offers multiple type of services, and this actually is a secret sauce too. Our customers can access to a full, I could say, a full suitcase of services. So if they need to offer same-day delivery, if they want to offer a pickup point, or if they also want to sell heavy and bulky products, they can do it with our platform. We also, as I said before, offer unified recollection and multiple dispatch options. And that actually, going back to the first question, it's a huge difference among the other competitors. We continuously are trying to launch multiple several options to be the most flexible cloud platform.
Any more questions for Federico? Okay, in which case, we will finish off the pitch session for today. Now, I would like to thank you, to say a big thank you to the entrepreneurs who pitched for us today. I am conscious we're fairly close to the bottom of the hour, but I would like to ask the panelists to stay for a couple questions. So if that's okay, let's jump right into it. The first questions. Firstly, I would like to ask everyone on the panel to take a few minutes, maybe a minute, to sort of introduce themselves, their investment unit, and to please state what are some of the specific areas within the consumer and retail space that you're currently actively looking to invest in, the sort of opportunities that really excite you at the moment. So starting with ladies first, as it behooves, probably Gabby, starting with you.
Okay, sure. We invest in Askama, we invest in early stage businesses and seed stage primarily. And we look for businesses from the biotech space into agtech. We look at fintech also, transport, logistics. We look at anything that applies artificial intelligence to both what's the supply chain and the distribution channels for large corporates. We also look at the environment, particularly of anything that had to do with recycling and different things that might have help from a climate perspective into the whole circular economy process of the productions of goods in Latin America. As we said, we invest from Mexico downwards, or in companies that are looking to expand to this region, but there has to be a tie to the region, to Latin America.
I see, thank you. Melina, I already sort of introduced you, but just if you want to chime in.
No, you did. We're a little different because Silicon Valley Bank is obviously not an investor, but rather a bank to the innovation ecosystem. So we bank for about 50% of all venture-backed startups and about 70% of VC funds. And that's a fairly global footprint at this point. So we work across about 20 different US states and about 9 different countries, including UK, Denmark, Germany, Israel, China, Canada, and then have a team that also looks after kind of other geographies where we're not fully licensed as a bank. And for us, consumer retail e-commerce can include anything from gaming, Web3, creator economy, metaverse, social networks, etc. So looking at all of it.
Thank you. Hector, would you like to go next?
Yeah, absolutely. So we are a CVC for Arca Continental. Arca operates in the US, Mexico, Peru, Ecuador, and Argentina as a Coca-Cola bottler. And what we do is we bring inside technology, new business models to the company, and we also do invest in startups, and we have invested, in few funds in the past. And basically what we are trying to achieve, just to really empower founders, really connect those founders, great founders, with the company, and not only with the company, but also with other corporates in which we have connections with. Thank you.
Sure. Then perhaps next, Safi.
Hey everyone. So I work with store number 8. We are Walmart's venture studio and incubator. So we're basically investing in building building startups, new capabilities. For Walmart, always looking into Horizon 2 and 3, so sort of really a little bit out there. Because at Horizon 1, Walmart has something going on in that already. So we're looking out into the future horizons. We're sort of investing in the metaverse as everybody else is doing. We're interested in a lot of circular economy stuff, so reuse, the whole re-economy. What else are we looking into? Sort of the next generation of food concepts and how we eat, what we eat, how that's delivered, shop by meal rather than, ingredient list, etc. And then different ways to meet the customer where they are. So a whole world of different connected customer potential solutions that we're interested, ranging from conversational to physical and everything in between.
Right, thank you. And last but not least, Lucas.
Sure. Hey guys, so B2More Ventures, a corporate VC of British American Tobacco. We actually helping our corporate to transition away from the legacy business. So we are investing in health and wellness, biotech, digital, and functional food. So you saw two of our portfolio companies, Blockhead and Awake Chocolate. We have a few more in our portfolio. We are new kid on the block, 3 years in existence, based in London, investing globally, and would love to partner with some of you, perhaps, on the co-investment opportunities.
All right, thank you. Now, since we're a little short on time, I would like to ask just one question before we sort of finish off. Now, the term e-commerce was almost a buzzword prior to the pandemic, and to some extent it still is. But it seems like today we hear more about supply chain challenges, and supply chain being under some sort of strain. So I would really like to get the perspective of each of you on this, and on any sort of challenges that current inflationary pressures might suppose, like particularly, I suppose that's related to the developed world and not so much to the developing one, but as I'm conscious of the diversity of our panel here, but any of the challenges for the consumer space that you see, and what are the opportunities, because with challenges also come opportunities. So perhaps Safi, if you want to go first.
You toss that one over at me first. Yeah, I mean, obviously consumers, all of us, are always feeling this inflationary pressure. And I mean, you've probably all seen Walmart's last results, which was the first little dip that we've had in a long time. So we definitely are feeling it. It's interesting because on the other side of it, all the suppliers are doing just fine. So with, as it hits us, hits consumers, and we're feeling it in our pockets, we're having to push that forward, but the suppliers are actually doing pretty well at the moment. So one thing for us to do as someone that has such a sort of power in the market is now to go and push it back to the suppliers and create some sort of pressure there that we can then feed those gains back to the consumer. And that's sort of the next step for us after this last quarter or half year.
All right, Melina, if you want to chime in, as I'm conscious you need to drop off shortly.
Yeah, no, thanks. I mean, I think to some extent, like, of course, there's always going to be challenges, and like in a down market with consumers having, reduced sort of wallet share to spend, the consumer companies really just have to remain really focused on what is the problem they're solving, and is that a problem that consumers are willing to pay money to solve versus existing kind of products or services that are already out there. And then I think the other thing that we're seeing is the consumer of the future is increasingly sort of mission driven. So whether that's sustainability or impact, having that thread somehow woven throughout your story as a company, we're seeing resonate really strongly with, certainly with Gen Z, but I think with the consumers of tomorrow. So we're kind of watching a couple of those things as it relates to really helping consumers drive up that willingness to pay and what might be a reduced economic environment.
Sure. Lucas?
Sure. So actually, I see the whole situation as a sort of bump on the road, and it's temporary bump, if I would say. Obviously, things sort of e-commerce or transition to e-commerce is not really going away anywhere. One of the sort of trends that we are trying to follow is looking at seamless integration of offline to online, then post-purchase customer service. And we actually see, even in today's speech, some of the startups were pitching sort of integrated solutions. And I think that's the trend to come. That's what we at BTV, we are trying to focus on. So this is a little bit of insight from my side.
All right. And maybe Gabby?
Hi, sure. First, if anybody needs some experience on inflation, just come talk to us. We have a PhD in the matter at this point in life. Just we had to do some sort of a joke having, the rates of inflation we've been having for over 10 years. I don't know how many years at this point. What I see at this time and coming from Latin America and having seen the world from the US and the UK perspective in other times in my life is, I believe this is a time where we are going to see the real trends of things that are really adopted by consumer habits, things that entrepreneurs that will be able to deliver and execute versus sort of more of the land grab strategies that require immense amount of funding. There's been a reference before going from the unicorn time to the camel time. And I think we're going into that direction where startups have to be able to do more with less. And I see that will show business models that are truly effective and efficient in what they're doing, and that propose their value proposition is really different when it comes to execution. And I think if I would summarize it in one word, that's the key word at this point, and probably for the next 12 to 18 months is execution. And that will make all the difference.
Okay, and last but not least, Hector, your
Yeah,
perspective.
I guess right now it's a great time for corporates just to keep on doing digitalization, investing in new technologies, looking at new business models. So I would say that's perfect for corporates. Another consideration for corporates is that it's a very good time just to start speaking with startups, partner with startups, and look for collaboration agreements. Obviously, the startups, what they need or what they want at this point in time, it's not only cash, but also they want to develop the business. And the way to develop a solid business is partnering with corporates and with multiple associations and institutions worldwide, not only in one specific geography, but also worldwide. And another key item for today's market is just to be open to any type of resolution. And what I'm trying to say is, if you're an entrepreneur, don't look, maybe your startup will never become a unicorn, and that's fine. But maybe you might have a quick exit, or you might have something good for you and for your business in the short term. Because for every unicorn that we have in the market, like maybe 10,000 startups need to fail, so we can have one unicorn in the market. And in today's environment, given the cash constraints, especially in growth stages, it's going to be tougher for entrepreneurs and startups to grow. So, on a nutshell, it's a great time. It's obviously perfect for corporates just to partner and look for new technologies. And for the founders, I mean, if you're in an early stage, there are plenty of cash still in the market. If you're in a growth stage, obviously the game plan is a little bit different.
Mm-hmm. It makes sense, and what a kind of great note to finish off on. Although my colleague Petra is telling me now that there is one question submitted from the audience, which is what are the things that a good pitch deck must have, from your perspective as an investor? So, Gabby,
go ahead.
Sure. First, know your audience, know who you're talking to before you start speaking. Second, establish the size of the problem and the size of the opportunity you're trying to capture. Two, make your pitch something emphatic, tell a story. We investors hear a lot of pitches. And sometimes, keeping our attention in certain things can be difficult, and when you're exposed to different scenarios and people. So if you tell a story, if you're compelling in telling that story, something is like that is very useful. Images speak a lot louder than words. So if you're doing an active pitch and you're showing something, try to grab people through their multiple senses, and then make your value proposition and what you want out of that pitch very clear. Less is more, actually.
All right, Lucas.
I second all that Gabi said. I would only add to that, please guys, make it simple for the audience to understand. Many times founders, you have a lot of data, you know the company and the value proposition inside out. Sometimes it's difficult to follow what's the problem, what's the solution. So that would be my addition.
Safi, Hector, anything to add?
No, I think between that's incredible knowledge for founders. I mean, you can always look online to see what's included in a pitch deck, but these are the perspectives you want to bring to the meetings.
Right. Hector,
maybe last but not least is just start building relationship with investors across different stages. That's something that every founder needs to do. And the best thing in the market is look for, start building that relation whenever you don't need the cash. Because if you need the cash and you don't have the relationship with the VC, it's gonna be tougher for you, and maybe it's gonna take some additional time. So that's one point. And the other point is not only look for VC investors, look for people in the ecosystem in general. There are a lot of managers from corporates. There are a lot of people in the VC ecosystem that do have great relationships with not only with VCs, but also with CVCs, with family offices, with private equity funds that invest in early stages and so on, that might be beneficial for you as a founder.
Thank you. Those are really great. It's like a great compendium of advice we've just given, I feel like. So thank you all very much for your time, for participating in this session, and for recommending me the startups that presented today. Big thanks once again to the entrepreneurs. Stay tuned for our next webinar, which will take place sometime in July. Thank you very much, and have a wonderful day, evening, or afternoon, wherever you might be in the world. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye. Cheers.